Hey everyone. Some activity on channel 6.
Like he running things up in the doggone northeast corner.
Even here on the Grundy.
He running doggone thing over here in the northeast corner. Hello, 103, I gotta talk to my radio. Hello, Mr. Painkiller number 3 is right back.
Some activity on the 11 meter band. So hey everybody, welcome aboard. This is of course the Shortwave radio show. And here we have Mr. Cat saying hello. Let's just put the camera down a little bit. There we go. Mr. Cat saying hi to you guys. Here we go. Well, look here. So hey everybody, welcome to this Shortwave radio show. This is a show about radio and we are Friday. It's 2000 hours Universal Time, and of course we are live and here to entertain and talk about radio. That's pretty much it. Hope you guys had a great week, and we'll have 2 shows this weekend. One today, and there's another one tomorrow. And tomorrow's going to be interesting because we're going to have it's going to be kind of special. We're going to be kind of chasing station from the crosstalk thing. There's a crosstalk Mars net that actually Mars Communications from the U.S. Army is the U.S. Army crosstalk test, and that will be there tomorrow, and we'll be of course tuning around, and hopefully we'll hear some during the show tomorrow. That's gonna be interesting. So of course I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to chase the communications of these stations, and we're going to share the information here. So there's it's the Army kind of, you know, it's a yearly thing, and I remember last year I heard a lot of communications from that, and it was kind of cool. Sorry, Mr. Cat, you're making me sneeze. So anyways, we're going to have a lot of fun, of course, today, as usual. This is a show about radio, for those that wonder what it is. It's a show where we talk about radio, and we just, have a lot of fun with radio geeks. There's a nice chat room. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And, of course, we're here to have fun, like every Fridays at 2000 Universal Time. Hello there, Radioactive. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Simplio, nice to have you here, my friend. We have, let's continue, and Les Matt, MDK2. Nice to have you on board from Denver, Colorado. And yes, Simplio, 27025. Tons of stations there, even on the good old Grundig there from 1969 on 27 megahertz. What else do we have? Active brush fire 5 miles away. Hope doesn't have too much problems here. William Conlon, nice to have you here. I don't understand you can't pick up VHF airband, because it's as simple as punching in the frequency of the airport you want to listen to, and that's it. And just put your RSB1A in AM mode. Do you get anything on the VHF range? Do you get a NOAA weather station? Do you get anything anywhere else on the VHF UHF range? Just out of curiosity. VA2XMX Petro, nice to have you on board, my friend. Always nice to have everybody here. Looking to get a discount antenna for receive and transmit on the VHF ham band. Any recommendations? I'm sure some people have recommendations for sure. Bobby Burgess, nice to have you on board from Morgan City, Louisiana. WA5107 SWL is the call sign. Jerry DX, nice to have you here, my friend. Alton Byington, K3JWA in Baltimore, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to see everybody here. I'm just going to replace the camera back to its normal setting. And here it goes, something like that. And I don't know why my CPU usage is suddenly very high this time around. Kind of weird, anyways. What else do we have? What else we have? Yeah, Diamond. I heard a lot of good things about the Diamond discount. I'm sure the MFJ is not bad at all. David Arden, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Matt from Denver, Colorado is W0MDK and also WA0080SWL is the yes, you are beautiful. I know. What else do we have? What else do we have? Matambali, nice to have you here from Colorado. Don Stefano, nice to have you here, my friend. Pretty cool to see all of you here. David Arden, nice to have you here. Mark Cope in Dallas, Texas, nice to have you here. Mad Radio DXer, nice to have you on board from the UK. Bullfrog89, KD2CXU, nice to have you on board from Albany, New York. And be listening along as I work on final projects. Cool, no problem there. Next week's the last day of Sylvester. Yeah, it's that time when everything gets really, really hectic, eh? Remember time when I was in school, long time ago. Nice to have you on board, my friends. What else do we have? Whoa, this weird thing happened now. And we are back. I don't know what's happening, but it's kind of weird a little bit here. So, Lilian Putinha, nice to have you here, my friend. Always nice to have all of you. Rufus Newt, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to see you guys around. What else do we have? Matambali's chance to swipe your chair back. Nah, he's going to want to get it back again, so he's just going to meow because I'm sitting in his chair. So anyways, I don't mind. I'm okay in this chair. It's actually a nice rocking chair. I like it. Ray Kelly, nice to have you here from Nova Scotia, Canada. Joe Rotman, nice to have you on board from Chicago. JD Williamson, nice to have you here, my friend. D1DJK, nice to have you on board. And from Germany, pretty cool, everybody. Brian Penny, nice to have you on board from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And pretty cool. Andy RC, nice to have you here. Yeah, it's always nice to have you on board from Cornwall, UK. And yes, do not forget to give thumbs up for the show. Hope you guys enjoyed that 30-minute International Radio Report live stream from last week. I did it in a different way. I actually used my phone and just put it on there's a closed like a plate, a wooden plate where you can actually hang your clothes, and I put the phone on top of that and then gave a general look at the studio while we were doing the show on Sunday morning. And hope you guys enjoyed that for sure. Raymond Challoner, nice to have you on board. And thank you very much. Richard Cook from the UK, nice to have you here, my friend. Pretty cool. Eddie Williamson learning for his ham exam, which is next week. Whoa, cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. PLF Radio, bonjour, bienvenue. Toujours un plaisir de vous avoir parmi nous. Can I hear the 11 meter band with the XH data D808 right now? Okay, let's check it out and see. Turn it on. Shortwave. And let's punch in 27025. There we go. Beautiful conversations on the CB band, as we see. So I'm tuning 27025. Yeah, of course. Sometimes on the handband around certain frequencies, it almost looks like this. So yeah, it is actually receiving quite well just with the telescopic. It's kind of nice. Kind of nice. So here you go, PLF Radio. Ça fonctionne. It works. We're getting the 11 meter band on the XH data D808. So yeah, band opening on CB, and well, 10 meters is probably open. I'm going to check with the SDR. I'm going to put 28400. 28400. 10 meter band is open. There was just a station on 28400. So 10 meter band opening also, which is kind of cool. So somebody's calling CQ on 28400 upper sideband. I can hear it on my there, and you know what? Let's check it out here. Let's put this 28400. Let's put ourselves in upper sideband. There we go. And yes, FT8, absolutely. 28074 is probably open. 28074. There must be some FT8 in there, I'm pretty sure. Manny CB, nice to have you here, my friend. What else? Sheldon Harvey, bonjour, hola, guten tag, hi. What was the other one? You had a new one last week. Every week we got. You know what? When we talked on the International Radio Report, Sheldon. I was thinking that every week I should learn a new hi or hello in different languages and add it every week. And at some point, it's gonna take 10 minutes before I go over all the hello in different languages. So nice to have you here, Sheldon. Sakura DX, nice to have you here from Japan. Good morning. It's early there. It's like 6 a.m. or something. Nice to have you on board from the future, because you're Saturday morning, of course. And it says going to Akata Port a few hours later. Knowing my duty on the ship is almost ending, but unfortunately I got very hard pain. Oh, you gotta take it easy, my friend. Once that is over, you gotta take it easy. Nice to have you on board. Rekre, nice to have you here from Turkey. 73, it's fun to have you here. Josh, nice to have you on board from Chesapeake, Virginia. SWL60N, nice to have you on board from Stockholm, Sweden. 8 Celsius where he is. Here it's something like 14, 15 or something. We had a lot of rain in the past 24 hours. Really, really heavy rain. Last night I was listening to some Netflix late last night, and the wind and the rain, it was just crazy. And so Paul the cat doesn't want to go out because the weather is too bad. What else do we have? WOHP 1390, nice to have you here, my friend. And let me just go back here. WOHP 1390. Good afternoon from W8PRR. Nice to have you on board, Rick. What else do we have? So what else do we have? VA7BC. Nice to have you on board, Greg, from Vancouver. Nice to have you on board from the west coast of Canada. And apparently I never say it enough. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Northeast part of North America. Ethan Best, nice to have you here, my friend. Eddie SX, nice to have you here. Keegan, XNEDXer, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. Tony Turtle, nice to have you on board. The Odor at Home, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to have you on board. Do you remember RD Systems AA1 antenna adapter for connecting portables without antenna external jacks? Oh, I've never, no, that doesn't ring a bell on my, for me. I'm sure for some it does. Robert Shine, nice to have you on board. A new listener? Cool. N3VXT from Pittsburgh. Well, welcome, my friend. And nice to have some new viewers. Radiocoms, nice to have you here. Says he's got a Diamond D777 and he says I catch Scotland, England, Wales, Southern Ireland on VHF UHF air from my location in Northern Ireland. It's impossible not to hear aircraft. Peter Carpenter, nice to have you on board from Portland, Maine. What else do we have? Alberto Santos. Nice to have you here, my friend. And pretty cool to see you on the stream as usual on the chat. Mick, nice to have you on board, Mick. And the UK, nice to have you here. Richard Cook says no WBCQ tonight, 9330. Here was very good yesterday. Yeah, I saw a few posts. I haven't heard yet. 9330 running like the full 500 kilowatts. Simplio, can I take a peek at 27385 lower sideband? Of course I can. I'll try it with this one here. 385, and we'll put ourselves in lower sideband. There's some activity here. A guy, Honky Tonk Man in Montreal. So I'm sure he doesn't know he's on a stream right now. Let's see, 27385, lower on the SDR. So there's Honky Tonk Man in Montreal right now on 27385. If only he knew this stream existed. Or maybe he does. So Keegan is using his Ethon Grenic Edition Field BT radio, internal antenna. The one DJK is Iran, poor modulation. Once more on 9855 in English. Their modulation has been bad for a while now. Josh is W84333 SWL. And yes, it's working. Absolutely. Mountain Valley says Channel 6 here, ridiculous amount of activity. Matt says if you hear someone on 27025 or 27085 calling himself Switchblade, that's a CB op here in Denver. Oh, really? So if I hear Switchblade, I know that I'm listening to somewhere in Colorado. Cool. Mad Reader DXer says strong reception of Super Bowl channel there. Yes, pretty good. Robert China was just going to say that there's certain AM frequencies and sideband frequencies, 75 and the higher bands that sound like CB. Yeah, absolutely. There's quite a few of those. Unfortunately, it's kind of sad. Kind of sad. But you know, I like it because when it's alive, I mean, there's activity, there's fun, there's, you know, tune in the upper bands. That means something's happening, and you might be checking out anything. Oh yeah, you're right. 6 meters. Let me try it here. 6 meters. Whoop, whoop. Whoops, not here. Band. 2850. I'm checking out. If there's anything on 6 meters, I'll hear it here with the FT8 GT65 stuff. 313, I believe, is. Let's just go to 313 here. 313. Not really sure. I'm gonna leave it there at a low volume. Maybe I'll hear something on that band. I'll try it on the. Even though I'm on the long wire, let's see if I get anything. What's the USB calling frequency on 6 meters? Anybody have it? If you want to DX on 6 meters, what's the USB calling frequency? Just out of curiosity. And yes, 27555, I forgot, but we can take a listen. 27555. Anything happening in that frequency? I'm going to leave it there. See if some activity. So it's nice to see some activity in the upper part of the bands. It's kind of fun. It's been a while since there was really a lot of activity there. What else do we have? Matthew Wells, nice to have you here. Stephen Willoughby, nice to have you here. M0SDW in Norfolk, UK. Thank you very much. Keegan has WWV at 10 megahertz. Kevin Wood, nice to have you on board from Nova Scotia. Check out the 10 meter band and then the upper bands. It's open. Probably open to your area also. Tony Turtle says, I will go send some CW on 28100 right now from Michigan with 10 watts. Nick Mayakovsky, nice to have you on board in the rain. And here too. It's kind of quiet down right now, but boy, the trees are growing. I mean, I'm looking out the window and it's really getting green. It's nice to see the trees kind of coming back to life after a pretty long winter, I gotta tell you that. Simplio has activity on 27285. Ni hao, yeah, Chinese, ni hao. Ni hao, I hope I pronounced it right. Kevin Wood says DX Maps is hopping. Yep, DX Maps, lots of stuff there. Pretty cool. D1 DGK, how can be DX on 11 meters at the moment? Bands are closed. No, okay, here's the thing. There isn't just the sun, D1 DJK, that actually can activate the upper frequency ranges. So what happens, you have solar activity that can activate the bands. But, you know, usually if the solar flux is below 80 or 90, we don't usually have the 10 meter band open. And that's where, and that's why, never look at these websites that say, oh, the band is closed. Because you know what's sad with this? Everybody goes there. Everybody says, oh, the 10 meter band's dead because it says it's closed. And that often relies on the fact that solar activity is going to open or not the bands. There's not just solar activity that does that. So what's happening here is probably what we call sporadic E-skip. And that's another phenomenon. And these are patches of ionized ionosphere that could be due to weather phenomena. We think there could be when there's a lot of thunderstorms and stuff, there's a lot of things that can actually activate it. And as we're getting into summer, sporadic E-skip is actually very important. So that's where I always say, stop looking at those websites. I get annoyed when people say, well, I turned off my radio because I went to this website that said everything was dead. Why don't you just turn it on? You're missing out on tons of things because you think these are always saying exactly what's happening. And it's not the case. There's a good side to these websites. There's a bad side. Another example, people are always looking at these propagation charts and the maximum usable frequencies. And I remember one guy saying, well, how can you get that station on that frequency? I was looking at the maximum usable frequency charts that are on the internet, and it was simply impossible. Well, that's where these things are often wrong and not right, and you shouldn't just look at that. I'm sorry, there are nice tools out there, yes, but turn on your radio. You're missing out on tons of things if you just rely on the fact that a website is saying the bands are dead or this is not working, and if you continue like that, you always miss on things. And I mean, turn on your radios. I'm tired of people not turning on the radio and just tuning around, and just instead of sitting down to the radio and just trying by yourself, I call it kind of being lazy. Oh, I'm going to look at the website that tells me everything, and the band is dead, I'm not going to turn on the radio tonight. Well, you're missing out. Like now, there's some activity, there's tons. I'm looking at my SDR right now, which is on 27.555, and I can see around it, there's tons of signals, tons of things happening. Like I said, the 10-meter band was open. So there's not just the sun that can activate the upper frequency ranges. Yes, when the sun is active, absolutely, kind of cool, because it can really, really make a nice opening. But there's other phenomena, that is, the case here is probably sporadic E-skip. That's bringing all of these frequencies to life. So here, 27285 is pretty alive. Let's see if I can run it here. But let's take the XH data. I could see that there's activity on the SDR here. So let's try. So this is, let's check what's live there. Gray Squirrel.
Smoking Joe. Did you say Smoking Joe? D-double-L.
Gray Squirrel. There is some activity, I can tell you that. So that was on 27.285, and there's a lot of stuff happening here. There's 27.385 with a lot of activity, of course. .385 lower sideband has a lot of stuff. So solar flux is 76. Nice to have you on board, Buster Brown. DJ Raiders, nice to have you on board from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Paul McDonald, nice to have you here. VA7ZZ or ZZT in British Columbia, Canada. Al Catalan, nice to have you here. So I'm about 15 minutes behind, by the way, guys. I'm coming up. I'll go a little faster here. so that you guys can we can catch up and be a little more real time. So, what else do we have? Rufus Newt, can't wait to the X from Iqaluit. That must be an interesting. Yo, yo, yo. Sheldon. Bill Fagan, nice to have you on board. Bonjour de l'Angleterre, nice to have you here. Came across a really neat and inexpensive portable that covers a wide range of frequencies for around $50. The HRD 737. Huh. Interesting. Yep, they are swimming. Luke Little, nice to have you here. What's happening with the SDR? Mike Kane, nice to have you on board from Bedford, New Hampshire. WA1PJG. DJ Raiders is KG5PHN. Richard has a pirate on 6290 kilohertz in Europe. And yes, happy Mother's Day in advance for this coming Sunday. Absolutely. Dana F. Nice to have you on board from Providence, Rhode Island. Olivia. Nice to have you here, Olivia. And hey, Paul, 2 cats from Olivia are saying hi. What else do we have? David Snyder says 9690 Radio Exterior España on his SDR player SP1A in Staten Island, New York. And he's saying his radio is available on global tuners if you want to tune around. And the radio name is Staten Island. Welcome aboard. Marlon Enriquez, nice to have you here. KC1EHW. Pretty cool. What else? Terry Colgan, nice to have you on board. Rachel Jacob says nothing heard yet on 28074. So, what else do we have? Yes, this show is getting bigger. Absolutely, it's kind of cool though. Kind of cool. I like that. I mean, I remember the first time that I actually did this live show, and I don't know. We reached 20 people. I was happy to have 15 or 20 people watching live. It's pretty cool. Matt, what's this about WBCQ 9330? I was testing the new transmitter last night. It was testing a new transmitter last night, but it probably had a big skip zone. I saw a guy in Staten Island, New York that say couldn't copy it. I've seen at least 3 or 4 posts in the past week testing WBCQ 9330. Every time I tried, I heard nothing. And that is not normal because, yes, I understand there's a skip zone, but Monticello, Maine isn't that far from Montreal. And with 500 kilowatts, there has to be some minimum ground wave that I can get on 9330. And my SDR, there was not even a little line in the noise saying there was a signal there. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Jim McMullen, nice to have you here. Some FT8 on 28074 now. Cool. Mr. Licky Train, nice to have you on board from Southeast Pennsylvania. Just received his XH Data D808 this week and am loving it so far. 2 questions for you or anyone in this chat. Who manufactures it, and does it have more than one firmware version? It's very difficult to know who is manufacturing it, and I know it's not Texan. There's nothing like it from any other offering, even though some do look alike. So I guess XH Data is our RadioWow. When you go to RadioWow website, they have the XH Data, and I believe, I'm not sure, but I think RadioWow is actually a company that manufactures this radio. So I don't know. Usually when a radio is manufactured by another company, it comes out on different brand names. In this case, the XH Data D808 is very unique and on its own, and there's no other radio that I've seen on the web that actually has or is like it. So it's kind of interesting. It seems to be that a Chinese company that builds radios. If you go to the Radio Wow website, of course you'll see the Radio Wow R108, but you'll see there's a lot of other stuff, and they actually have the XH Data D808 on the main page. So I don't know. Oh man. What else do we have? Oh really, Kevin 1? Nothing over there in Nova Scotia? So I might be on the fringe of the Sporadic E-skip. Nothing on 6 meters. Nope, not hearing anything on 6 meters here also. Ray in Clayton, North Carolina. Nice to have you here. New listener. Wow, cool. It's fun. More. Let's bring more new listeners and have more people. Let's try to beat that 200 live people watching at some point. That'd be a lot of fun. Call your friends and family and say, hey, there's this guy that talks about what you don't like, radio. Okay, 50.125 for the calling frequency, USB. Yeah, that's why I put the radio on 5313. But I'm not hearing at all anything that would let me hear of FT8 or somehow. Pyongyang on 9665 says Richard. What else do we have? Dutch NL, nice to have you here. We talk about radio here. Okay, nice big opening, radioactive there. Cool. D1DJK 9785 KBS from Korea direct in English language. Cool. Paul M6NQS from the UK, nice to have you here. I will try the calling frequency of 50.125. We'll see if anything comes up. I'm wondering if it'd be better on my vertical VHF antenna rather than long wire. Page Master, nice to have you on board from Moore, Oklahoma, KI5CWF, and call sign for shortwave listener is WA5136SWL. Paul McDonald says bright and sunny in Lower Mainland BC. Cool. Paul Saunders, nice to have you on board from Goose Bay. Radio France on 790, says Richard. Rufus Newt, QTH, Laurentian Valley. Luke Little, lowercase please, and HDSDR, depends what you're using. What are you using as an SDR, first of all? That's the first thing that we need to know. And the second is HDSDR, SDR Sharp, with SDR Play, you have the SDR Uno, there's SDR Console, there's tons of them. And what else do we have? Mickey Dalmatch, nice to have you here from windy Sherwood Park, Alberta, Canada. Cool. Kimberly, nice to have you here, K6YYL. I don't ever rely on that chart. That is so misleading as to band openings. I would have never made any contacts like use that. Yeah, actually, absolutely. And yet, people are hooked to that. You know, look, Little, you can ask your questions, but don't ask 400 times, and ask, politely and correctly, and we'll answer. But if you ask the question 400 times, you know what? I don't feel like answering at some point. So, ask your question. Like, just answer a little bit. Give me time to get to the chat, to the place where we are, and you'll have your answers. What else do we have? Robert Shine says we got a lot of really cool openings, antenna for the breeze shooters net Monday evening, when there's really not supposed to be any openings, and we get them from time to time. Yeah, absolutely. So what else do we have? Well, it's not just sporadic E is not just for short distance. Sporadic ED1DJK. To give you an idea, I've heard Brazil 2 years ago on 6 meters using that method. It's not necessarily just short distance. Sometimes there's multiple patches that are actually active, and you can get a lot further away than just a couple of 100 miles, I can tell you that. What else do we have? Roberto Rojas, nice to have you here. Ray Bennett, nice to have you on board. Listening with is my big rig Ray from Grants Pass, Oregon. What do you think of the DX390 Radio Shack? I don't have experience on the DX390, and I know that it's pretty surprising. There's a lot of Radio Shack portables that were pretty surprising, honestly. No problem, look, little. Happy to answer the questions when there are some. Just be patient. That's all we need. We're here to help each other. So, but a lot of the portables are pretty good. I'm gonna got my tablet here. I will be checking out on the tablet here what the DX3. I'm pretty sure I've seen a DX390 in my life. Let's just add here and see what it looks like. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna think, oh yeah, I remember that radio. If I would have had the money back then, I probably would have purchased every Radio Shack radio that ever existed at the Radio Shack store. So here we go. Radioactive says it is the difference between computer modeling and observations. Absolutely. That's what I do also. Mad Radio DX is mentioning DX Maps. DX Maps is cool because DX Map relies on actual amateur radio reports. So it's the real deal. You know what's happening. So yeah, JD Williamson, kind of like the hit and miss of the weather. Absolutely. That's what I use all the time, the X maps, in order to know if a frequency is propagating or not. So what else? Wayne Baker, nice to have you here from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. The Cat Hag, nice to have you here. David Arden says, for the handbands, listen for the propagation beacons. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of beacons out there. That's another, and you know, the beacons are often low power. It's kind of fun to DX them, and you know, knowing you're hearing a 4 watt or 1 watt beacon 1,000 miles away is like, wow, this is kind of cool when you think about it. Pretty crazy. So the DX390. Just need to watch that. Oh yeah, is that the yeah, also known as the ATS 818? Okay, I know what that is. Yeah. That's the one with that's a nice radio. Here it is. DX390. It looks nice, actually. It really looks nice. So here's a Sangean version. Kind of cute. I remember seeing that. It doesn't look like a bad radio, but then again, you can't just rely on the looks of a radio, because if you do, you might get kind of fooled into buying something that shouldn't be. Jack 2112, nice to have you on board. N9IIF, nice to have you here, my friends. Simon Templar, nice to have you here. Good afternoon. Mark Fisher, nice to have you on board from Southern Illinois. Pretty cool. The only JK center of 10-meter band opening is at the moment in the US. Most activity there. Bob Geist, nice to have you here. Long Island, New York. N2DET. Pretty cool. Matt says he likes to see what's happening on the PSK reporter, but it's dependent on hams being on the air and listeners monitoring with appropriate software. Propagation Beacon are actually a lot of fun, absolutely. So Rufus News is going to Iqaluit at the end of June. That's going to be kind of interesting. René Charbonnier, nice to have you here from Holland. Nice French name, René Charbonnier. Est-ce que tu parles français? What else do we have? No Name. Nice to have you here, No Name. And in England, he inherited his that old Greenwich Satellite 2100 radio. He needs a bit of service. You have any experience with these radios from the mid-70s? Yeah, a lot of them. Actually, the Greenwich satellite line is very, very good. So any of these from the 70s are just amazingly nice. The one I got here, that you see just here in the background, is Satellite 210, or also this one is branded on the Satellite Transistor 6001. This is from 1969. Beautifully made radio for the time, I can tell you that. Very, very beautiful. Keegan says, subject to reception interference here at times due to my dad, W9JEF, transmitting on 20 meters CW. Aha. Okay, we're going to try that, Ethan Best. So, according to Alan Wiener, 9330 will be on at 135 kilowatt tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I'm going to try that out. I'm going to see if I can hear it. Rodelva65, nice to have you on board, my friend. I need to add Alan to my Twitter following and get some of his news. Matt says 9330 might not be full power, but I don't know. Okay, check that out. I'm going to check that out for sure. Hey, Terry Cook, nice to have you here. KF7BQ in Western Montana. Katie Williamson, Ready Wow reminded me of an older Sony. Huh. But I don't think it's Texan D1DJK, because Texan would have its own branded version of that. So I'm not sure Texan makes it. We're going to see. I mean, if Texan makes it, there's going to be a Texan spin-off of it. And Texan has no radios that even gets close to what that thing does. So it could be. I mean, it's not impossible. But I don't think Texan is behind it. Not at least for now. Radelva65 got it Rowdy War 108. Gonna give it a spin this weekend. Cool. You'll like it. I think you'll like it. Joa Sabra Newhouse, nice to have you on board, my friend from Brazil. And cheers, by the way. Rob Fiducia, nice to have you here from Phoenix, Arizona. Joe Topinka, nice to have you here from near Chicago. 27 megahertz going crazy. That's what we were listening here for sure. PLF Radio says, in the box for the XH Data D808, there's a small piece of paper with a message of RadioWow, with which they thank for buying the product. I think RadioWow is not just a distributor. I think RadioWow is a company making radios. I'm not sure. Yeah, they do sell some radios from Texan. but I have a hard time. Texan would have its own branded XH data like radio, which it does not, which is kind of, Ray Bennett, does C-Crane actually make their own radios? That's a question I've been asking myself, actually. One thing for sure, they're made by someone, and there's a lot of of branded receivers for other companies that are made by some other Chinese manufacturers. Radioactive says used HDSDR and SDR sharp together. Okay, so you followed the instructions of that video, I guess, to receive subcarrier audio signals, and you got nothing on your local FM stations. It's possible. It's not all the the FM stations that have subcarrier audio. Eb, nice to have you here from South Korea. 6K2EBB. Nice to have you here. Cool. No problem, Look Little. You can ask your questions. Ask all your questions, and we'll be happy to answer. It's always cool. Sean Murphy Journal. How come my BrickCat scanner does not work for police calls? There's possible. There's maybe your local police or law enforcement is maybe encrypted or gone digital or something. What else? Jotobinka has a FRG 100 from Yaesu and a Wellbrook 1530. Cool. So, kind of nice. A new elec, Luke. Yeah, use with that new elec, you can use SDR sharp. You can use HDSDR. HDSDR is the one that I like. Depends on what you will like. You can use SDR console. PageMaster says the DX390 is a very good radio, and he's got one in the DX392. What's the model number of the one that has a tape cassette recorder on it? I'm trying to remember that. Rufus Newt DXing with a DX300. That's a nice little radio. Rob Fiducia remembers Radio Shack. Yeah, I know. The one DJK has BBC from Wolferton, very weak, in Germany on 9410. That 7300 kilohertz, 7300 kilohertz frequency at 0-100 UT is amazing here in Montreal. I can tell you that. I'm getting there, guys. Slowly getting up to. I'm just 10 minutes behind now, so I'm getting there. Rufus Newt's getting a Labatt Blue. I haven't drank Labatt Blue in a long time. Actually, I drank a Labatt Blue at the Jazz Festival in Montreal last year. That's pretty much what I remember the last time I drank a Labatt Blue. I can tell you that. Simply your best band conditions, just turn on the radio and tune the bands. Absolutely. Wow, it snowed Wednesday night in Colorado. Well, we're I hope we're pretty much gone with the snow here. Gone with the wind, gone with the snow. Mr. Lucky Train, thanks for answering my first question today. By the way, other than opening up an XH Data D808, is there another way to identify its firmware version, or is it too new to have more than one version? I have not heard anything about having more than one firmware version right now. That said, yeah, I guess there could be revisions at some time, because obviously it's kind of a computer device almost because of the chip. So, and obviously by the way that it works, when you go to a single sideband, that little delay with the little arrows and stuff. Obviously, it's kind of reacting and kind of it looks like a computer working. So from what I have seen, because I've read a lot on the XH Data D808, I have not seen any mention of another firmware version for it, and I don't know of any tricks for checking out the firmware version of the D808, unfortunately. So unless you look at the board, which is going to say what revision maybe on the board itself, maybe. I don't know. Let me just check out here just quickly. I never really searched for firmware version. I haven't heard anybody talk about it. And I know there are some revisions that happen from time to time on radios, but I'm going to check it out here. Hey, Johnny the Xer, nice to have you on board, my friend. What do we have? Propagation appreciates how I read the chat. Yeah, well, I think it's important because it also, you guys are talking about stuff, so there is stuff that you guys I can share because there's people watching the chat room, and the chat room goes fast. Sometimes people just look at the video and don't have the chat, or if you have if you have a smart TV, often the smart TVs and the devices, they don't show you the chat. The only thing you have is the video. So by reading the chat, one of the things that's kind of nice is that you actually also tell everybody about what's happening. XH data. XH data. There's a lot of activity still on the 11 meter band here. D808. Oops. Firmware. Look here. Checking out here. Okay, XH data D808 modifications, and this is on the Shortwave listening post from September 2018. Anything here is the special that changes? The guy has this huge loop on it. Realistic expectation, product overview. I don't know. There's nothing much about what's happening on that. So I don't know. D1DJK has 9920, Radio Thailand in English. Max Edstrong, nice to have you here. Always nice to have everybody. Richard Cook says 11635 in a few minutes for Cuban Lady. Rodrigo Zol Gutierrez, nice to have you here from Mexico. Pretty cool. Campeche, Mexico. I don't know how you pronounce it exactly. Welcome aboard, my friend from Mexico. Jill Williamson, by now you're halfway through the chat. WOHP 1390 says a lot of traffic on 33 megahertz fire bands and 30 megahertz business bands into Western Ohio. Unknown location for some business traffic in Spanish. That is kind of cool because that means there's a lot of stuff. Actually, I should put my SDR on 32 megahertz. And I should check out if there's anything appearing there that could be of interest out of curiosity. Around 33, 34 megahertz. There could be some really interesting stuff because if the 10 meter band's open, chances are the lower VHF range is open also. So you might be hearing some DX of some, cops from some other county or somewhere else, Oh, that's sad. Rufus Newt wants to get his license, but he got no examiners. Rick Robbins, good afternoon. Nice to have you here. What else do we have? Going down. Josh, I have a friend in the UK that was just now noticing the pip and the buzzer after I told her what to check. I'm not going to link the vids. Not sure the rules here. If they are radio videos, I got no problem, Josh. You can post all the videos. I'm okay with that. Yeah, I don't know. We'll be checking that out, D1DJK, but I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of curious that Texan doesn't have its own branded radio that's the same. So, kind of interesting. And XH Data came kind of out of the blue. It's kind of interesting. Ray Kelly says, finally getting some action on 27025, 27285. So some action in Nova Scotia on the 11 meter band. Cosmic Lettuce, nice to have you here. Greetings from southeastern Arizona. Nice, hope everything is well. Yeah, it's been asked before, but it's okay. I don't mind repeating. The sign here is it's a plate that a dear friend of mine, Caroline, gave me at Christmas, I think, or at my birthday. And it's a recipe for friendship. And it takes, the ingredients is 1 pint of confidence, or there's 2 spoons of secrets, 1 cup of affection, 1, a small amount of respect, 2 pounds of common interests, 3 spoons of listening, and 1 bag of pleasure. So it's kind of the recipe for friendship. And I mean, we've been friends since, we've known each other since high school, actually. And we always, we don't see each other that often. But when we see each other, it's intense. It's like, 2 friends, 2 real friends. I mean, you could not see, I might not see her for 6 months. But when we get together, it's like we've never really left. We have tons of things to talk about. What else do we have? Yeah, it was time to get someone from South Korea. Actually, a friend of mine is in South Korea right now, and that actually came in the chat room a few times, is in South Korea, visiting right now. Going down. Question. So I'm exactly 10 minutes behind in the chat room. How is a radio signal encrypted? Is it just hardware used at the radio station? Pretty much. Hardware. It could be hardware or software encrypted, but basically what they do is they just, an encryption is simply taking a signal and by some protocol just deciding that signal will go through this, software and hardware, and it's going to come out in a different form that, unless you have the security key that goes with it, well, you can't, unencrypt it. But it's basically hardware and software that takes that analog whatever. So, like the police, if they talk in their talkies, well, the analog voice will go into a circuit that has hardware and software that encrypts it, that will scramble it in some weird radio signal that you get. And that signal, well, is mostly digital, so it's zeros and ones, but it contains a security key. So it's like a password. The only way to unencrypt it is by having the correct password. D1DJK, thanks again for the review and reception vids of the S350DL this week. I watched them all and commented on some. Yeah, I've seen that. I'm going to do more because I had a hard time with the first few videos. It's interesting because the tuning knobs seem to have some kind of contact problem. I had not used it for a while, but now because I used it a lot, it seems like the contact is back to normal. So I'm going to do more. You're probably going to see a few more videos this week of the S350DL, for sure. Randall Clones, nice to have you on board. Is there a noticeable difference between the RG6 and RG8 for listening? If we talk on the shortwave bands, nope. On the shortwave bands, there won't be much difference, honestly. David in Barcelona, nice to have you on board. Tony Turtle says, very nice band opening. Thanks, Joe, for the heads up on that. Cool. What else do we have? What else do we have? The Rock 80. Nice to have you on board. Says, my dream is still to get a high gain signal through RTL SDR out converter. Huh. Kevin Wood has weak E-skip into Nova Scotia at the present. So cool. Cool. I'm seeing X-Men in the chat. I went to see Avengers, the latest Avengers movie, which is really, really good. Really enjoyed Avengers. Ray Bennett says, what are your thoughts on the Zenith transoceanic tube Y600 tube radio? They're all good. I mean, the Zenith transoceanics are amazing, amazing receivers. I would really love to own one here. There's a guy at the flea market not far from where I live that has like 7 or 8 in the display. He has one that's really nice. He sells it for 150. Is a transoceanic worth 150, guys? Just out of curiosity. If I would go, and I mean, it's really nice. Now, I can't tell you what model because I don't remember the model number. But if I were to purchase a Zenith transoceanic for 150 bucks, would that be worth the money if it works well? Do you guys think 150 bucks is a okay price to pay for that? Shitty Pyro 90, nice to have you on board. Radio Romania 13650 was a little earlier. Cyberflyer 1, nice to have you here, my friend. William Conlon, nice to have you on board. Did you ever have a Jupiteru 7100, best handheld ever, great on HF? I've seen it so many times. I almost purchased one maybe 15 years ago. I almost purchased one 15 or 20 years ago. And but it was a lot of money, so I decided to, relax on the spending of radios. But Shitty Pyro 90, conditions must be good for a citizen band as I am listening to 27025. Yeah, Sportic E-skip happening right now. Sportic E-skip. So lots of stuff happening on the bands for sure. Jer Sobranua says, I have a shortwave Dream mod. My notebook embeds SDR plus up converter inside itself chassis, but I think the shielding is almost impossible, so I think the idea is impractical. Yeah, the problem with interference with an SDR and an up converter and having all of that really close to a radio device is like, crazy. Mr. Licky Train, thanks, Joe, for doing this live broadcast each Friday. It's a fabulous service you're providing for us shortwave listeners. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to be here. And I think it's a lot of fun. What else we have? The explanation is great, Joe. My grandmother had the same. Gilles, are you on tomorrow? What time? Yep, tomorrow, 2000 hours Universal Time. And actually, tomorrow we will be chasing the communications that come from the Mars tests. So tomorrow, so let me just Mars. Army Just gonna get radio. Let me just get back to the page that I was earlier. Da-da-da-da-da-da. I'll go and get the PDF that I saved on my PC, and at the same time I will look at something. Yep, my PC is really maxed out, and so just a moment, guys. I'm going to look at it here and go to the downloads page. So annual Armed Forces Day tomorrow. I'm going to share the link to the website. So okay, control click. There we go. I am going to. So tomorrow is an event, and it's the U.S. Army Mars, or Military Auxiliary Radio System. It's called the Armed Forces Day. It's an annual Armed Forces Day crossband test. That means amateur radio operators and military from the Army can actually communicate together. So if you're an amateur radio operator, you can actually it's a crossband, so they listen in on a specific frequency for the AM bands, and of course will answer on one of their own Mars frequencies. So I'm going to share here the list, that website. Tomorrow we were going to chase that tomorrow. That's going to be the fun part of tomorrow's show, chasing the Mars communications that come from it. So this is going to be a lot of fun, actually. So tomorrow, 2000 UT, we're going to be here for that, and we're going to chase that, because there's still going to be some communications from the different stations, and try to hear contacts from amateur radio operators and the U.S. Army operators of Mars. It's going to be a lot of fun, for sure. Radio Clogs, anybody interested in a live medium wave only show in the evening after dark? That could be interesting. Jerry DX has M Warren at E ATC active on 11309 for aeronautical communications. PLF radio, have you tried or will you try the Texan AN200 with analog radio like the Texan R9012? Absolutely. PLF radio, I will try it with almost every radio I own, I think. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm having a lot of fun with that antenna, actually. Really a lot of fun. Hey Fastload, nice to have you on board. Yes, I am going to actually make videos of Fastload of the AN200 on the old Grande satellite. For sure. I will, Fastload. And welcome aboard, my friend. Should you power? Would you wonder how much power I need to be? You know, some of them on the Super Bowl channel 27025 are probably in the kilowatt range. I wouldn't be surprised that they're in the kilowatt range. I mean, bye. And I'm actually tuning in here, so we'll see if we get some Super Bowl channel stuff. We'll see if we get some communications here. Man. Kimberly is drinking coffee, calling CQ and hoping for 6 meters to finally open. I have Sporting E fever. It is a lot of fun. I always get excited at the 6 meter openings. I can tell you that. 150 good is working. Depends on the model. Yeah, I know that it's not all the models, but no, tube radio, Joe Rodman. It's really a tube, the tube transoceanic. I don't want to have a transistor one. I want to have a tube one. Hangar 77, nice to have you here. And having a lot of fun receiving, decoding a shortwave radiogram. I want to check it out. power, everybody piling up on 38 lower sideband. Yeah, 27385. Let's go back down to that frequency. Let's go back down to 27385. 27 and lower sideband. Let's see if we hear anything here. I'm hearing 27025 on the SDR is crazy. Tons of activity on channel 6. Matam Ballian's radio exterior Hispania 9690, good old reliable RAE, absolutely. Dion DJK seem to have an older model of the S350DL. The frequency drift is not more than 1-2 kHz per hour. No, it's the same. It's actually the same. The S350DL is actually they're all the same. It's just that, like I said, the first videos, the drifting seems to be tied to bad contact inside the radio. If you look at the last few videos, it's very, very stable, but it still drifts, but it's much more stable than they were before. William Conlon, what is the best transistor or tube setup? I don't know, whatever works, but I think that's the best. You know, it's like asking a question of what's the best radio, and the best radio is the one you got, pretty much, you know. So tomorrow is going to be fun. We're going to check out the military communications. PLF radio, possibly, depending on the frequencies they use. Yes, there's some possibility that there will be frequencies that will make it to Europe for the Mars communications. Absolutely, I'm pretty sure. What else? What else is there? Jim McMullen, don't forget the Air Force, much more intelligent. Yeah, the Air Force and the U.S. Army and everything. What else do we have? Page Master, yes, and all the page that I just shared, all the information is there, and they are going to issue special QSL cards for that annual Armed Forces Day crossband test. Absolutely. So check it out. And the page that I shared, in the bottom of the page, there's a PDF file. That PDF file has all the different stations, their locations, and the frequencies they're going to use. So check it out. Paul is right here in the chair next to me sleeping. Yeah, or have some kind of Texan AN200 version for shortwave would be kind of nice. It would need to be possibly a little bigger to perform, but I'm surprised. I'm surprised. David Barcelona says, as a European, I forgot about Mars, and I thought you were talking about some kind of signal from a probe or something. Oh, man. We are hearing actual aliens from Mars tomorrow. Oh, man. McGlone, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to see you here. WWV 20 megahertz, says Keegan. Nice. Yeah, tube transoceanic for 150. I would have bought it if in working condition. Don't worry, Fastload. If I go and fetch a radio there, I'll call you up and say, hey, you wanna go to the flea market and see what's around? No problem there. It'd make a great excuse to see each other. We don't see each other much lately. Next beer is a IPA, a peach flavored IPA called autre chose, which means something else. So we're gonna, ouch, we're gonna take that, put it here, there we go. Beer number 2 after an hour and 20 minutes, not too bad. So this is an Indian Pale Ale. Not necessarily my favorite. I find that the IPAs taste a little too strong for my liking. But this one is a 6% beer, and it is peach flavored. So cheers, everybody. Richard Cook, 9685, overloading. Huh. Best radio is the one that's bringing you joy at the moment. Et voilà, Max Extra. Exactly. That's the best radio. Tube radios are more sensitive. I'm not ready to say that, William Conlon. I think a good tube radio is probably as sensitive as a transitorized receiver, but I do not think that tube radios are more sensitive than transistors. Transistorized radios are very sensitive also. I think both are close. If you got a good tube radio, well-built tube radio, it will be as sensitive as a transistor rig for sure. MG, nice to have you here. TA4MHE. Where's that from? TA4. Where's that from? TA4. Let me just check it out here. I'm curious. I'm sure somebody in the chat's like, hey, yeah, that's from that whatever country. I'm just going to check it out here. Actually, I'll have a name by checking it out here. So, QRZ.com. And it's nice to have you on board, my friend. D1DJK has China Radio on 9685, Radio Exterior España on 9690. So, JD wants my counter stuck at 33 can be right, many viewers. I'm 126 at the moment. 126. The counter isn't always right, honestly. Sometimes there's some weird thing happening. I was looking at the viewer count on my channels this week, which are down like 20%, and which is impossible because I got the metrics from there, and I got the metrics from AdSense. And even though on AdSense the metrics are down slightly, they're not down 20%. So there's some weird thing happening with there's really some weird thing happening with the metrics sometimes on YouTube. So TA4MHE, it's one of the call signs you don't hear all the time. It's Turkey. Oh. So TA4 is from Turkey. What else do we have? Ray Bennett, I'm looking at a transoceanic. Why $265 US, but the only problem I see is one particular tube. It costs around $100. Whoa, okay. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Smell of tubes, Maglone, yes. That is, the dust that's burning on the tubes. Oh, man. Max Headstrong is digging his Ethon Gredic satellite. Cool. Pagemaster's got 15 QSL cars. Really, really cool. Yeah, well, when a radio's way too crappy, I got a hard time. But, a radio's kind of cool. Yes, you should, Kevin Wood. Visit Montreal. We'll meet up, have a beer, and talk radio. Be a lot of fun, Kevin. And like I always say, if you guys come to Montreal for anything, hey, send me a little email. Let me know. We'll meet up somewhere, for sure. So cheers. I would guess ground wave over ice is probably the same as over water in general. Max is strong is on his second glass of Pinot Noir. Life is good. Miguel Amage, I sent you an email of another Quebec beer I found here today, 9%. Oh, really? Let me check. Where's my phone? I left my phone somewhere. Oh, it's here. I didn't see my phone. So, let me check that out here. Beer. You find. What is that? $10.59 a bottle. Whoa. That is not cheap. Oh, you got the Fin du Monde. You got the big bottle of the Fin du Monde. Yeah. That's the thing you got. So he's got the big Fin du Monde bottle. You can see it here. Look at that. That's the big bottle that I've got here. It's here, the grocery store, they sell it for at the grocery store next to where I often get my beer, anyways. They sell this one for, I believe, $5.99. It's $5.99. Is it Vietnam in Spanish on 9730? Is asking D1 DJK. I believe it is on 9730. I think it is. Rufus Newt, I think the front end of tube radios were built for sensitivity. Newer radios are sorely lacking. You know what? A good new receiver is pretty good, but where it's easy to be fooled with tube radios, I would say that the majority of tube receivers that I have tested and used are good performers, but are not as sensitive as most of the modern equipment. And what makes newer radios sometimes crappy in that sense is that because they are more sensitive, they are also more open to the possibility of overload and a crappy experience because of signals that are kind of boosted a little too much, basically. So I would say that's, the best tablet for 64 gigabytes. I don't know. I'm not sure what, depends what you want to do. If you want to do SDR stuff, get yourself a, honestly, if you got the money, I'd get myself, for SDR stuff, I'd get myself something like a Windows tablet of some sort, but a good one, like a Surface or something, a Microsoft Surface. That would perform really well and give you amazing, all the choices of SDRs that you can, software that you can use. But apart from that, just look around. But avoid the cheap ones. The cheap ones are never good. Cheap ones are never good. I see Paul the Cat is here. Yeah. He's cleaning himself right now. Mr. Paul is doing his little grooming right now. So that's what's happening. That's what's happening. Matt says, I just heard a friend who said WBCQ is using 180 kilowatts last night. Well, it'll be interesting to compare 135. I'm going to try it tonight, 8 p.m. John Pitney, nice to have you here from Virginia, W3XWT. They're still looking for a free lunch. I ain't looking for a free lunch. But every time I've met somebody that actually was one of my fans, they always want to pay either the beer or the lunch. So that's, hey, you ain't. I always told, there's a friend of mine that doesn't like it when somebody pays for him. And I remember telling him, hey, free food. Never say no. What else do we have? What else do we have? Well, there's this guy singing on 27025 right now. Kind of lost it here. I'm just gonna check out if I kind of detuned or something. I'm just gonna put the volume up a little bit. Let's see if I'm seems that the Spartan E-skip has gone down, and because I see it on SDR, it isn't as strong as it was, so it's kind of fading away. It's kind of fading away, but I don't receive anymore the Super Bowl channel here, but I could see that the peaks on my SDR aren't as strong as they were, so it's probably getting too weak for reception inside here. John Todd Jr., nice to have you here. WB5HHD in Katy, Texas. Nice to have you on board. He says CB band is dead over there. So it's kind of interesting to see how, you know, the different sporadic E-skip happening is very localized in different areas. The on DJK, the DSP destroys a lot of fun on shortwave. I stick with analog ones. Yes and no. It depends on the radio. It depends on how well the DSP is built into that radio. Because some of them are actually nice. But it has to be well built in order for it to be okay. Dirty Diaper 21, nice to have you on board. Tony Turtle, nice to have you here. John Pickney says, I've worked the U.S. military crossband test several times over the years. It's a lot of fun. Be on the lookout for pirates too. One year the radio teletype test had an anti-U.S. military end added to it. Oh, really? Huh. Interesting. Because it's true that there's some radio teletype stuff in there also. The only JK Vietnam in English starting 9730. Cool. Was also confirmed by Richard Cook. What else do we have? Max Estrong, dumb kid from the back of the class question. What is the difference between a tablet and a laptop? A tablet usually doesn't have a physical keyboard. It's pretty much that. A tablet is still a computer. The only difference is that a laptop has an attached keyboard. A tablet does not come with a physically attached keyboard. It's usually a touchscreen keyboard. Of course, you can add a keyboard to it, but pretty much the keyboard is the difference. So if you have a Microsoft Surface tablet, it just doesn't come with a keyboard. You'll have to type on the screen or purchase an extra keyboard. It's almost only that. Honestly, if you remove the keyboard, that's pretty much it. That's all, you know. Like this. This is a tablet. It doesn't have a keyboard. This is an Android 7 tablet that I kind of have a lot of fun with. Purchased this on Amazon, and it's a 10-inch. And the primary thing that I use this for is to read my magazines. So like Spectrum Monitor, for example, the electronic publications. And of course, I added the Heavens Above software for tracking satellites and stuff like that. So I use it for I would say that a lot of times when I listen to shortwave and I don't want to use a laptop or anything, I'll use my tablet. And this has long battery life also, which is pretty cool. But it's pretty much just the keyboard that makes a difference with a tablet or a laptop. Tony Turtle, the opening on 10 meters has no QSB. I think it's more than E layer. No, it's the sporadic E-skip for sure, Tony Turtle. The solar flux isn't high enough to support to support the 10 meter band right now. Yeah, you guys are getting the signal from Vietnam directly. Here, the only way we're getting Vietnam is through that WHRI relay. Oh, absolutely. A good tablet works as well as a laptop for sure. Mick, hey Joe, I bought a used ICR20 this week. Your ICOM R8500 R20 channel has been very helpful. I know it's not the best for SWL, but can you recommend an HF antenna for it? You know what, Mick? It overloads easily. And what I've been doing most of the time is, it comes with that little bendable telescopic clip a long wire on it. That's it. Don't purchase anything else. Just clip a long wire on it or a wire antenna on it, and it's going to be a perfect antenna for HF. That's what I do usually. I will clip my long wire or any wire antenna on the R20 when I want to listen in, and it does a job. When I'm calling, see me, AM is dead here in Ireland, seems to go to FM. Yeah, you guys in Europe are different. You guys in Europe are like very, FM on the shortwave stuff. Keegan's got a Amazon Fire tablet. Rufus Newt, Microsoft, Amazon, Siri, or Google have no place in your home. Then what are you doing here? I mean, you're in the chat room. That means Google has place in your home. There are much more there than you think. No problem, Mick. Hey, I caught up. And by the way, guys, if you enjoy what I do, it's fun to get some support from time to time. I mean, I always have to, upgrade some equipment. I am in the process still of checking out and buying a new laptop, more powerful laptop. So why not, send me a little something if you want to help out. You can also, on paypal.me/shortwave, you can also send it to the Yahoo email that I just posted in the chat room. And you know what? It's really, something that I'm here every Fridays. I mean, it's time consuming, got to prepare stuff. I'm always here, always having fun with you guys. And, I have a more expensive than, sorry guys, courtesy of Paul the Cat here. So, I got to spend some money, more money for expensive internet connection and stuff like that in order for all of this to work. So, just a little help always is nice. And, I always get these people that say, well, I didn't donate because I'm shy because I didn't donate $1. It's fine. If everybody had donated $1, hey, dollars make big amounts when they add up. It's all right. It doesn't matter how much you give. It doesn't matter at all. And hey, if you don't use electronic stuff, you can send me an email at officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com and say, hey, I want to send you something, but I don't use PayPal. I don't use electronic money stuff. I'm scared to send money through the internet. Well, you can send me a international postal money order, and it's going to be just fine. So I want to thank everybody for supporting me. I mean, I got my regular donators that are always there, and it's really a lot of fun. And if you enjoy what I do, look today at the number of people that just say, look, what you do is absolutely fantastic. Thank you for all of that. But, it takes time. And there are Fridays that I, do something else sometimes. But, hey, I'm dedicated. I'm here. We're going to do the shows. Tomorrow we're going to chase those Mars stations together. We're going to have a lot of fun. And, why not think of a little something? And I'm trying to reach out, as always, to those that have never donated before. How about a little, couple of bucks to help me out and, help out Mr. Paul the Cat. You can specify, here's some money for some food for treats for Paul the Cat or a beer fund or whatever you want. I'll be happy. And thanks in advance. Helby, nice to have you here. 2E0EBZ in London, UK. Nice to have you here, my friend. Nice to have you here, my friend. You're in Bulgaria right now, Rufus. Interesting. Max Estron. Well, you fixed my computers. I don't do that anymore. I kind of got I got other things to do now. D1 DJK Germany. We have 80 CB channels FM, 40 channels AM SSB, AM 4 watt SSB 15. That's nice. Here in North America, there's no FM or anything. Eaton Best, YouTube is on my Google. Yeah, it's on my Google. Absolutely. We are in the Google stuff. For sure. Marco Polastri, nice to have you here from Italy. Listen, shortwaves in 74 with a summer camp and a trio radio. Now I use a Yaesu FT1200. I try to follow you. Compliments on your channel. Thank you very much. It's a lot of fun. I should sell signed photographs. Weird carrier on 9265, very wavy. Let's check it out here. 9265, which is usually WINB. I have nothing at all on 9265. If we go to, we're going to try WBCQ tonight at 8 p.m. I got Spain. Spain is really good. I mean, look at that. This is Spain. Let's check it out here on the, I'm just going to move on over here. Let's go on to the 31 meter band here. And let's check out for Spain. Okay. Well, look at that. Oh, there's grounding, the good old grounding. This is Spain.
Natación, ciclismo y carrera aquí. Un deporte moderno en el que la mujer, nos cuenta Ana, está integrada. Pero yo creo que ahora está cambiando mucho. ¿Vale? Yo me siento muy afortunada por la situación en la que he vivido. El triatlón es un deporte moderno. Lleva mucho menos lastre que otros deportes.
Using just a telescopic whip.
Y no tenía la consideración con la otra, en la época de la que yo lo viví. Porque al final es un deporte mucho más antiguo, con una serie de, no vamos a poner una justa, pero se pone una serie de lastres de hace muchísimo tiempo. Pues yo veo un deporte que tiene también cosas que hay que cambiar, ha tenido una presidenta que ha sido mujer, entonces ha cambiado ya en mi deporte.
So Radio Stereo España, really good on the good old grounding receiver. It's going to be in English in 15 minutes, by the way. 15 minutes time, we'll have Radio Exterior de España English coming in. So that's going to be interesting to check out for sure. So anything else? Yeah, it's normally supposed to be WINB, I would guess. Simply, I was 9330 is really struggling. I got nothing on 9330 here. I tried it here, and I've got absolutely nothing. Hey, Kilowatt, good afternoon. Nice to have you here. Mars, the military, the Army cross-channel, cross-communications tests are pretty much all day tomorrow, but they'll be also they'll be very they'll still be here. They'll still be here as we do the live show starting at 2000 UTC. Thanks, Rufus. Tony Turtle, I like back in the 1940, there are operatives all over using radio again. Never know where or what gonna hear today. It's the shortwave bands are interesting because there's so many things. There's so many things that are popping up everywhere in the bands. No, he's not upset with Ethan. I understood what he was saying. It's funny because in the chat sometimes he say something and it goes with a comment from somebody else. It's like he's not upset with Ethan. He's upset with the fact that YouTube is owned by Google. I think that's where he's being upset. One of my laptops making loud grinding noises and smoking. I think it needs a tune-up. Could be the fans inside it that are just wearing out. D1 DJK organic satellite. Yeah, this is a satellite 210. You see, telescoping on some radios is enough. No external antenna is needed. As this radio also a 44-inch telescoping antenna like the S350. The telescoping on this thing is longer. It's the longest telescopic I've seen in a radio. It is very, very long. It's almost like a 102-inch CB antenna on that thing. I can't even put it straight because it touches the ceiling. But there's still a lot of it's still when stations are strong enough, most receivers with their telescopic antenna receive very well stations on shortwave. Jason Bourne 777. There's still any operational number stations that you pick up? There are tons of them, Jason Bourne. One of the best websites for that is Preom. There's a lot of there's a complete list there. There are still dozens and dozens of number stations, honestly. Kevin Wood 9265 S9 here. Strange you can't hear it. Yeah, but I'm technically a little closer. WINB is in Pennsylvania. I'm technically maybe a little closer. And it depends on the characteristics of the shortwave bands, but 9265 here is not even creating a peep. At all. I can't even see a line. Or a very weak line. That's pretty much what I got. It's funny how, 1,000 miles sometimes is a huge difference in a shortwave signal. I-10 Best has 13670, 15120, Voice of America Greenville in Bambara language, booming into Indiana. Richard Cook's got 9265. John Pickney says, speaking of WINB, Google the popular Tronics article from some years ago, The Angry Voice from Red Lion, Pennsylvania. Oh, kind of interesting. Gotta check that out. I remember listening to WINB when they were on that 19 meter band frequency in the 80s. 15145, I think, was the frequency. Simplio says, I think the band is changing a little slow. Slight increase in signal, short fades. Miguel Almash says, WBCQ at 2145, 9330.213 with Brother Stare, very good. and 7490.169 with music poor. So both old transmitter off frequencies. Welcome back, Matt. It's nice to have you here. Let me try 7490. Sometimes it does make it. And 7490 is... Nope, nothing here. Nothing here. The thing is, here in Montreal, I'm so close to Monticello, Maine, that I hear WBCQ most of the times on the lower frequencies, like when they use 3265 or 5130. Those usually give an okay signal. Above that, it's a hit or miss. 7490 can be real strong, it could be completely gone, and 9330 is never really very good here. So I don't know, it's kind of interesting. So you got 3265, they're on 3265, let's check it out here. 3265. Not hearing a thing. I'm having this weird noise that I'm trying to find out where it's coming from. I got a noise I don't have usually. Did I plug in something that I forgot to unplug for the show? I got this really huge buzzing on 3265 right now. Wow, and all across 3 megahertz actually. So I don't know. Did I plug in something that I forgot to unplug? That's weird. I don't have that weird buzzing usually. Weird. Yeah, Max, that's wrong. Google does have a good search engine, but it's a disguise. It's the biggest ad company in the world. Ray Kelly, 390 miles from Monticello. I don't know. I need to check out how many miles from Monticello, Maine to Montreal. Let me check that out here. I'm now going to lower that music here because I'll get a copyright strike on my channel. Like last time that I did that, and I had in the background some music. I like my Google Home stuff. I use it. I stream a lot of music and I listen to music on them. I love it. But yeah, you gotta agree that you like to be spied on. That's pretty much. Okay. I completely forgot what I was checking for. Rob Fiducia, do thunderstorms and tornadoes affect radio waves and its signal? Oh yeah, the miles of Monticello, Maine. I'm just gonna try to find that. So apart from the fact that thunderstorms and tornadoes often have lightning, that affects our listening hobby because it does static crashes. And actually, as we're getting into summer slowly now, you notice that there's a lot more static crashes due to thunderstorms that are technically getting closer to us now at this time of year. So thunderstorms from 1,000 miles away will do static crashes in your radio. So if there's a line of thunderstorms in Virginia, you might be hearing tons of static crashes in Canada. Because it propagates with the radio waves when there's a lightning bolt. As for the in the shortwave band, as for the effects of anything that is weather, apart from static crashes, there's generally no real effect from the weather at the low frequencies that the shortwave band are. But that doesn't mean that there's no effect of the weather on frequencies, on our radio signals. Higher frequencies, VHF and even more in UHF, will have all sorts of weird effects of radio signal propagation due to weather. So there's different things that can happen. And if I would say there could be a link between thunderstorms and shortwave. one of the things that because there's a lot of unknowns, like we've been listening to Sportic E today on 27025 11 meter band, and one of the things we know is that lines of thunderstorms seem to, and I say seem to because we're not really sure about all of the phenomena and what actually happens and how it actually creates all of this, but there are some suggestions that lines of thunderstorms, for example, might be responsible for some sporadic E-skip ionized patches in the ionosphere. And that is one possibility. So that is a possible effect of thunderstorms and shortwave, because sporadic E-skip does affect the upper part of the HF spectrum. So maybe, but for the rest, and except for the static crashes that you'll hear, remember that the weather itself below 30 megahertz, the weather has no really known effect of radio propagation, but the static of thunderstorms can be heard really, really far away. I mean, we're getting there, and I already hear more static crashes on my shortwave listening, and that there's some thunderstorm activity getting closer and closer as we get closer to so 13670. That is 13670. Isn't that Voice of America? Yeah, that's Voice of America on 13670. It's not in Spanish. That's not Spanish. It's Voice of America. Take care, D1 DJK. Always nice to have you on board. Have a nice weekend. Stay safe, my friend. And tomorrow, another show. Another show where we will talk about and chase Mars. Rufus Newt, how do long waves propagate? Long waves tend to follow the Earth's surface. But they have a very interesting characteristic. The long wave frequencies, and when we talk long wave, it's below 300 kilohertz, because above 300 kilohertz we already get into the medium wave propagation, and of course there's sharing of same characteristics somehow. Long wave tend to propagate as ground waves, but they are interesting because long waves are capable of following the curvature as they are ground waves. A lot of the ground wave signals actually are going to stop being received at a certain point because the Earth is round. And if the Earth was flat, we typically would probably just all use FM to talk to each other. But in a hypothetical round Earth, the long wave signals actually tend to follow the ground. There's some kind of interaction in relation to the ground. And even though the Earth is curved, the long wave signals have that capability of still continuing and following the curvatures. That's why a long wave signal from Europe could be heard here. Some people hear, the powerful long wave stations from France and so on. And the thing is, it's because the long wave signal follows the curvature over the Atlantic Ocean and continues to propagate in that way. Where a shortwave signal actually uses the ionosphere up above to get a bounce back. And the medium wave shares a little of everything. So medium wave band shares the capability of long wave, especially in the lower part. So if you listen to a medium wave signal on 550 kilohertz, at that low frequency, it shares somewhat the long wave capabilities and long wave propagation. So it does have some ground wave capability. It does have somewhat of a ground wave that follows the curvature. And as you move up in the medium wave band, it's less and less true. And if you look at the distance, you can hear in the daytime a signal on 550 kilohertz and another one on 1700 kilohertz in the medium wave band, the expanded medium wave band. You'll see that their distance is not the same for the same signal, because at 1700 kilohertz, signals tend to start resembling more like shortwave and less like long wave. You're moving away. You're getting closer to the shortwave frequency range, which is at 3 megahertz. And so the medium wave band has one other characteristic that doesn't happen much on long wave, and it's the fact that the signal bounces off the ionosphere on medium wave. So that's why at night you hear stations from 1,000 miles away on medium wave, because they do bounce off the ionosphere. They do have some skywave properties, which doesn't affect much the long wave frequencies. There'll also be long wave propagation will also give you much more stable frequencies over a very large distance. Tor Hedden Isaacson, nice to have you here. I did order me a Radio Wow plus and minus about it. The Radio Wow R108, the plus, it's a pretty amazing radio for the price, and I think you'll be very happy with it. It's a good performer. It's not as sensitive as the XH data, but it's pretty good. The negative about it, I would say, is mostly in the audio department. It's kind of a little bassy, a little muffled kind of audio, but it's still good. I mean, it's still pretty good, but it's pretty good. You'll be happy, and you know, if the only real negative I would have is that it doesn't have single sideband. But apart from that, I think you're going to be really happy, Tor. You're going to be happy with it. What about tropospheric induction? I might have the term wrong, but can temperature gradients facilitate VHF? Absolutely. There are things called temperature inversions. So the VHF signal can get trapped between two air masses that have a different temperature. It's called tropospheric ducting. And basically, this is a nice phenomenon. So when there are some cold fronts or warm fronts going through, often it has you know, a warm air at the top, cold air at the bottom, or vice versa. Well, those two masses of air, where they meet, often will have some sort of tropoducting.
6263.
So Spain in English.
Dispatch under the front line. Turning to the men's singles competition, world number one Novak Djokovic automatically progressed to the Madrid Open semifinals.
On the Grundig, Radio Exterior España, 9690 kilohertz.
Was forced to withdraw because of food poisoning on Friday. Announcing his withdrawal on Twitter, the Croatian player said he had had a terrible night dealing with the food poisoning and was extremely disappointed to have his time in Madrid end this way. Djokovic, in his 250th week at the top of the men's ATP rankings, will face either or Dominic Thiem in the semifinal on Saturday. The Serbian, who triumphed in the Spanish capital in 2011 and 2016, beat Taylor Fritz and Jeremy Charney in the second and third rounds. For his part, Roger Federer survived two major points against French maverick Gael Monfils to extend his clay court comeback and reach the quarterfinals of the Madrid Open on Thursday.
So pretty good reception on that old Grundig for Spain, 9690. Um, yes, it's very, very good time to actually, as we get into the summer and thunderstorms, to mention that it's a good time to unplug your antennas if you don't want to have a bad surprise when there's thunderstorms. So, sorry guys. Mr. Paul the cat is happy and looking here. Look at that. The guy's he actually extended his paw to try to touch my my leg to say, hey, I'm here, man. Look at that. Look at this guy. Taking it easy. You could see his paws was like he stretched here between the chairs. It was just so funny. So yeah, it's a great time to actually unplug antennas when you have thunderstorms in your area, because it doesn't, you don't need a direct hit for lightning to actually damage your receivers. If there is a lightning strike close enough, the electromagnetic energy from it is strong enough to actually blow out your radio's input. And I got to remind you guys that today's transistorized radios don't have a very high threshold there. They're easy. It's very easy to burn out the input of any radio with almost no current, almost nothing. It's very, very surprising. So, when you hear that thunderstorms are here, you should unplug. William Collin, you're saying I should have signals on RSP1A. I tried, but nothing on VHF AM. You're doing something wrong, William. It's impossible that you got nothing. I listen to the airband on mine a lot, and I have absolutely great VHF AM reception. I don't know. Look at the threshold. Do you put the squelch on? Did you put the squelch? Maybe you put the squelch too high. One of the things, look at the threshold. There's a threshold that you can set. If you're using the scan capability of the scanner of SDR Uno, you have to set the threshold where the signals below a certain threshold cannot actually be heard. You got to play with that and make sure that that threshold is low enough so that the signals are actually going through, but high enough as the scanning feature doesn't stop because you only hear static. But there's something you just ain't doing right, my friend, because it's impossible. And if you hear FM signals on a VHF range, you hearing the AM signals on, and make sure that you have, when you're on AM, that you have set the proper bandwidth to listen to, because there's a lot of little things here. We are happy to answer. We're happy to answer. No, it's called Bambata, Tor. 13670 is a language, African language called Bambata. That's what we were listening to. It might have, a lot of these are kind of dialects, and they do sound like, for example, I was listening to Bambara the other day. At times there's some kind of French words in there. At other times it does sound like Arabic. So it's kind of a mix of all of that, John Pickney, tomorrow we start at 2000 UT like usual. And I know that a lot of the Mars stations are going to be there until 2300 hours UT. So we'll have plenty of time to listen to. But once again, don't forget about this, guys. There's the Armed Forces Day cross-band communications test tomorrow. If you're an amateur radio operator capable of HF, take it up. Take it, because you can actually and will be able to communicate with these stations. You'll have special QSL cards for it. So the way it works, it's crosstalk, so it's cross-band. Basically what that means, cross-band, is that you're listening on a frequency that's determined on their list. The website I just actually put here, at the bottom, there's a PDF. The PDF has all the stations, the locations, the frequencies they're going to use, and that's going to be a crossband. So you're going to listen on those frequencies, and amateur radio operators will actually operate on amateur frequencies. So you got to listen to one frequency and transmit on the other. For us listeners, that means we'll hear one part of the signal, maybe not, unless you can have two radios at the same time. That's what I did last year. Last year, I had one radio on one frequency, and I had another radio on the other frequency, so I could hear both sides of the conversation. And that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to have this one, the Yisu here, on the amateur band, and I'll have the SDR on the, or maybe the ICOM, and I'll have the SDR on the Mars frequencies. So I'm going to have a lot of fun tuning all tomorrow. And so it's happening all day tomorrow. It starts early. So all day tomorrow, Saturday, you'll have some stuff happening. But at 2000 hours UTC, when we start the show, we're going to try to find some of those, stations, of course. Madam Bali, I thought we agreed the world was flat. Yeah, we're going to get a 500 kilowatt flat earth evidence, apparently. Oh, it's just crazy. Madam Bali, convinced 90% of them know it's a hoax. It's just a means to hang out and meet, well, girls. Yeah, maybe. That reminds me of a friend of mine that from high school that had a band, and I remember once, was asking me how I found, the music, and I said, "That's okay," But he looked at me and said, "Yeah, seriously, you think it's kind of crap?" And I'm like, "Well, honestly, let's say it's not my, what I like." And he looks at me and says, "You know what? I just do this for the chicks, because girls love musicians." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, why not?" Like Mick says, if the world was flat, Paul the cat would have pushed everything off the edge. It's interesting. Paul doesn't do that. Paul doesn't push anything off the edge. Never did that. Never. I've never seen him do that. What do we have? More. Nick Mayakovsky. Navy subs use long wave as well. Do they penetrate deep water? That is why long wave is used for submarines, because the problem with water is that typical VHF, UHF comms don't work. So they can't transmit. If they transmit on VHF, it doesn't penetrate very far in the water. But long wave, when I say long wave, it's the very, very bottom long wave. It's even like, in the very, very low frequency ranges. Typically they use like 10, 15, 20 kilohertz, really, really low frequencies. Those do penetrate water up to a pretty good depth, but there's still a limit. A submarine, when it's at the deepest that it can be in the ocean, even long wave has difficulty going to that. I'm trying to remember, I read an article a couple of weeks back, but they're saying that some big breakthrough in radio communications has made submarine communication suddenly much easier, apparently. But yeah, long waves are used because long waves are almost the only frequency range where it actually can penetrate water. Absolutely. Matt says there's some article of faint thing going on with these folks. I don't think they honestly think the world is flat. They're just seeing who will accept and challenge. It's a group. It's a group of people that want people to talk about them. That's pretty much it, honestly. That's pretty much it. Honestly, anything to get interested or have people interested in whatever. Just start some controversial whatever and believe in it. Believe in it. And you know what? Just believe in it in some way. I mean, these guys, I'm pretty sure no one believes that. But they're part of something that people talk about, and they're just happy because we spend our time talking about it. So, and somehow you can make money. Have people talking about something, and there's a way to make money. Keith Logan, nice to have you here. What up? What's up with the Shortwave Stash? Station's very weak today. No, actually here whoa. That was a pretty good one. Stations are pretty good here. I've had some really, really good propagation on most of the stations. I mean, Spain is really strong right now, and most of the time, I've been testing stuff. I've been having great propagation. You should not have had anything bad. One of the things that a lot of people don't actually know, and that's, there's a lot of people that listen to, like, as we get into summer, I see some people saying, well, I've listened at 1 p.m. and in the afternoon and there was nothing on the bands. Well, in the summertime, midday is the dead spot of shortwave. It's always been. Even in the 80s when there were tons of stations, 1 p.m. in July in the summertime was the crappy time to listen to shortwave. It improves as we get later in the afternoon and into the evening. You got to be careful also listening at the good time. There was a guy in one of the shortwave blogs that posted, oh, well, I listened from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and shortwave's dead, so I guess today there's nothing. No, you're not listening in the right time for signals. You got to be careful with all of that also. Mark Schmidt, nice to have you here from Maine. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Whoa. So where was I? Getting a pirate on 6930 upper sideband. 6930 upper sideband. Maybe something really weak, but I'm not really sure, honestly. Keegan has 9690, Register España has 5 out of 5. Cool. Matt says, you spoiled that cat gel. Yeah, I know. Oh, man. Pretty good here. Going pretty good here, Keith Logan. Really nice. And Penny says, and some kitty. Yeah, it's a cute little cat. We're going to go back to the vet on the 28th of May. I know that he made an enemy there. The vet, he didn't like the vet. And I heard Paul do noises that I've never heard before. So I think he doesn't like it at all that we're going to the vet. Once again, Paul is always very chill. Always very chill. Matt says, I was on a local net a few weeks ago. The guy said lightning once struck the grounding of the power lines running through his neighborhood. Freak happening. Sent a surge into homes and fried the station. Yeah, absolutely. I got a friend of mine that happened to him. He lives on the South Shore. John Pickney says, after my R71 got smoked by a not nearby ground to cloud, look at a high-speed video, I use the Alpha Delta Transi Trap for all my radios. So, Hey, James Hauser, nice to have you on board. Yeah, I think he knows he's got to be in AM, but there's no reason that the AM, the airband doesn't work on his RSP1A. Neeson Greenwich, nice to have you on board from Dublin. Pretty cool. Well, I'm counting. What frequency do NASA use to contact satellites out to millions of miles that take half hour to get back? Most of the communications they have are in the gigahertz range. There's dedicated frequencies. If you look at a band plan of frequencies used by whatever communications or whatever service, you'll see that there are chunks of frequency ranges that are set aside for space that only, you can only communicate with satellites or space probes and so on. So there are some through the VHF range, the UHF range, but a very high frequency is also in the gigahertz range for a lot of stuff. So it depends on what they're going to use and where they're going to communicate. The only thing that makes the signal harder to receive when they're far away is because it's line of sight. So when they are seeing the probe, so like the Voyager probes that are billions of miles away, it's line of sight. The signal is typically, you point the antenna, it's there. The problem with that is because they're so far away, and every time you double the distance, the oh man, I wish the camera would have been there. You guys would have found it so cute. So every time you double the distance, the signal is 4 times weaker. So you can see that signals fade out really fast. So at billions of kilometers, that's what's going to happen. Yeah, plug-in time, absolutely, Sheldon, for the Canadian International DX Club, CIDXclub@yahoo.com, where you can get a beautiful bulletin called The Messenger, which is an electronic publication from the Canadian International DX Club. And you can ask for a sample copy if you never asked before, and Sheldon will be happy to send you that. I'm going to show you the May edition quickly. Okay, here we go. This Messenger May edition. So this is what it looks like, the title page. There's a lot of information in here about anything about radio. It's really worth it, and it's so inexpensive. I mean, a year for $10, 3 years $25. So this is the May edition of the CIDX Messenger, and it's a very nice publication, very well done. I have the utility, world of utility columns in there, and oh, by the way, talking of world of utility, I got an email. I actually got an email from Glenn Hauser, the guy behind the World of Radio show, because he was curious at one of the things I had mentioned in the column for this month. So this month I'm talking about volnets, or aeronautical stations that give weather broadcasts. And he was curious because in the May issue I had mentioned that I did see a website that actually, in a couple of places, that said that New York radio. So if you listen to the Gander radio weather broadcast, before it was alternating Gander radio Newfoundland, in Gander, Newfoundland, Canada, and it was New York radio off of New York. Now New York Volmet is gone. It's been gone for a while, and I had seen in a couple of places that it would come back in August of 2019. Now, Glenn Hauser asked me where I got the info, and I gave him the details, and he actually contacted some people and came back to me and said, well, apparently it's not coming back. It was a possibility of coming back in August of last year. So it might not be coming back after all. But it was kind of interesting to see Glenn Hauser actually take the time to contact me and kind of learn where he got that info. So kind of interesting. Yeah, absolutely. antennas also have not just airport towers, but a lot of communications have polarized communications. Keegan says if Polycat is his TV show, maybe call it Better Call Paul. For sure. Yeah, you can switch in between one and the other, but I like the fact that you can listen to both frequencies at the same time. Max Headstrong does medium wave DX for the chicks. Does it work? Oh man. Yeah, surge protector. Most, it's funny because they tell you that, they sell you these crazy power bars with surge protection and so on. One thing you got to know is that for a spike in current, it can protect your equipment for some spikes in current. It will not protect anything from a lightning strike that's really close or in the utility pole. Everything's going to blow up anyway. It doesn't protect you. What kind of antenna is needed for long wave? Yeah, really, really long antennas. Either a beverage, a very, very long antenna, or there's these loops and everything that are specialized for long wave. It's very, very. A lot of it is, if you want to be portable, well, these kind of loops that very, very, kilometers of wired, coiled. John Pigney Sears drawback of VLF is slow throughput on RTTY. Yep. Yeah, because as the lower they get in the frequency, the more it actually, the less you've got space for information. That's why they often use high frequencies, because the higher in frequency, the more they actually can have space for all sorts of things that they, for all the data. What else do we have? Mickey Delmage has Radio Guinea 9650. Let's check it out here. 9650. Got something weak, but nothing really amazing, I gotta say. Are the phonetic alphabet stations still active? I believe there are some still around, somehow. But I'd have to read up more on that. I can tell you that. David Arnott says, my cat doesn't like to go to the vet either. What do we have? Tor says he's from Norway. Did hear England, Russia, some Mandarin, and I think some Japan on my gift from a friend. And it is a Space Sonic made in Japan. Looks like 50 years old. Wow. Hang on to that old radio. Must be nice. Yeah, Matt, I know on Futurama they got Earth TV on Omicron Persei 8 and with rabbit ears. Almost with rabbit ears. And look what it did. Look what it did. It created almost a major problem with Earth because that TV show ended. It's like if aliens come back and they say, well, you know what, you got to bring back I Love Lucy because we were watching that and we're going to invade your planet if you don't bring it back. Pirate on 6305 says Richard Cook. Oh man, take care, Cosmic Lettuce. It's nice to have you on board. Oh man. Ray Bennett, I have a fan joke. What do you call a musician without a girlfriend homeless? Oh God. Hey, Vianney Arsenault. Bonjour, bienvenue. De la Gaspésie. Always nice to have you on board. Tony Turtle says, took a direct hit here. Blew everything. And my fiberglass antenna was in a million shards all over the backyard. I was standing 10 yards away watching the storm when it struck. Wow. You're kind of, you're lucky, actually. You're really lucky. David says, Boeing E-6 aircraft use a very long trailing wire ELF antenna to communicate with submarines while in flight. Cool stuff. Thanks for sharing. Kind of nice. Wow. Really cool. What do you call him? Do ICOM hard to program, the one behind you? You know, they are pretty sophisticated equipment, so of course it's you know, it's part of the learning curve. I have to program and learn how to use the radios. Matt, I love Lucy, more like Bachelorette 19. Joseph Renew asks, is there any satellite comms or beacons operating in shortwave frequencies? I only know two, Zacube on 14999, Radio Rusto 29,000. There's AO7 that apparently is in the top of the 10-meter band somewhere. You know, I miss the, what were the satellites? The RS, I think it was RS-15 Russian satellite and RS-14 or something like that. They had 2-meter uplinks and 10-meter downlinks. And I remember, just with a long wire, I could listen to the hams talking on the satellites in the 10-meter band and a single sideband. That was a lot of fun. But there isn't much happening now. I know that AO7, Amateur Oscar 7, apparently has something. But I haven't heard anything from satellite comms that broadcast on shortwave really much, honestly. 2000 hours UTC, 200 hours UTC, 8 p.m. UTC, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, North America. That's the time. That's when I'll be live tomorrow, and we're going to actually check out the Mars and the Army crossband test. And I want to thank Sheldon Harvey, by the way, because Sheldon Harvey is the one that sent me the email with the test, for sure. Take care, Halby, 2E0EBZ. Nice to have you here. Hope you can join us once again tomorrow. Hey, guys, I'm going to say goodbye for tonight, and we'll try to be in shape tomorrow to chase the Army crossband test. Don't forget paypal.me/shortwave for donations. It's a great way to help me out and support me for all that I do here. And I mean, it's, you know, takes a lot of time to prepare this. It takes I take a few hours. You know, we've been on for 2 hours and 33 minutes now. So if you like what I do, if you enjoy the shows, tomorrow another show. We're gonna chase the, you know, U.S. Army crossband communication stuff. You know, I'm here all the time. If you enjoy what I do, please think of a little something. Take care, my friends. It was nice to have you here. Tomorrow, 2000 UTC, 2000 Universal Time, and we'll chase those communications coming off of amateur radio and the military auxiliary radio system. Oh, really? Vet visit, Kevin? Oh, man. So take care, my friends. See you tomorrow. And hope you enjoyed the show, as usual. Bye, my friends. See you tomorrow for those. And for the others that are not here tomorrow, we're back next Friday, May 17th, 2000 hours Universal Time. Bye-bye.